I'm going to preview the 1 seed Iowa versus the 3 seed UConn women's basketball game, which will be played on April 5th at 8 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. And we all know that UConn only has 8 healthy players, and I'm going to go over all those 8, even if one of those is likely to play. And Iowa hasn't had like Molly Davis since the Big Ten tournament game against Ohio State, by the way. And she has not played since then. So I don't know how likely it is that she's going to even play. But I'm just going to start with her just to get out of the way. Then I'll go over the other rotation players. Well, 6.1 points per game, 2.6 rebounds per game, 3.1 assists per game, 0.7 steals per game, 1.2 turnovers per game, 1.3 fouls per game, 85.7% on free throws on 28 attempts, 40.7% on threes on 54 attempts. So yeah, now I got that over with, and I'm going to go over like players that normally play for Iowa after that, because she has not played in a long time since the Big Ten tournament. So, okay, first I'm going to start with Caitlin Clark, obviously, and she's the leading scorer in the nation, first in assists as well. 32 points per game, 7.3 rebounds per game, 9 assists per game, 1.8 steals per game, still close to 0.6 blocks per game. I'm going to say 0.5 blocks per game, 4.8 turnovers per game. That's the one thing she has to work on going to the next level, is the turnovers. 2 fouls per game, 86.2% on free throws on 253 attempts, 38%. And guess what? How many attempts? 508. Now I'm going to go over like Kate Martin, 13.1 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game, 2.4 assists per game, 0.9 steals per game, 1.9 turnovers per game. I'm going to just go ahead and mention 0.5 blocks per game because it's close to 0.6. 1.6 fouls per game, 86.6% on free throws on 97 attempts, 37.7% on free throws, on threes on 130 attempts. Okay, and I apologize for looking down because I cannot memorize all this stuff here. Okay, Gabby Marshall, I'm going to go ahead and mention 6.1 points per game, 1.1 steals per game, 0.6 turnovers per game, 1.2 fouls per game, 5 for 10 on free throws, 36% on threes on 172 attempts. Okay, Cindy Falter, 8.3 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, 2.3 assists per game, 1.1 steals per game, 0.9 turnovers per game, 1.7 fouls per game, 40.7% on threes on 54 attempts, 83.2% on free throws on 101 attempts. And the last starter for Iowa is Hannah Stolke, 13.8 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game, 0.8 steals per game. It's so close to 0.6 blocks per game. I'm going to say 0.5 blocks per game, 1.7 turnovers per game, 2.6 fouls per game, 62.6% on free throws on 139 attempts, and 4 for 8 on threes. So she's not really a 3-point shooter, but you never know. Okay, the next player I'm going to mention is like Addison O'Grady, 4.1 points per game, so close to 2 rebounds per game. I'm going to say 1.9 rebounds per game, so close to 0.6 blocks per game. I'm going to say 0.5 blocks per game, 0.5 turnovers per game, 1.4 fouls per game, 17 for 34 on free throws. Okay, AJ Ediger, Ediger, 1.8 points per game, 0.6 fouls per game, 8 for 12 on free throws, which we all know that's 2/3, and that's 66.6667%, and 0 for 1 on threes. And the last player I'm going to mention for Iowa here is Kylie Feuerbach, 2.6 points per game, 0.7 steals per game, 0.8 turnovers per game, 1.1 fouls per game, 76.9% on free throws on 26 attempts, 29% on threes on 69 attempts. So that's all the players right there. And I get who I'm going to mention first for UConn is most likely not going to play, but this is just in case she does play for whatever reason because of foul trouble. After that, I'm going to go all the other players that actually played, and that's 7 other players. And that's Benton Court, and I know he's not the most important, but you get the point. What if there's a foul trouble situation in all this? I mean, they're only down to 5 players that could play, and she has to be one of those. 0.6 points per game. So close to 0.6 turnovers. I would say 0.5 turnovers per game. 2 for 4 on free throws, 0 for 7 on threes. So that's definitely taking care of my bases on that. And now I'm going to go over all the other players. And first, I will start with Paige Bueckers. Okay. And she's 11th leading scorer in the country, but that's at 22 points per game. That's pretty good still. I mean, 5.2 rebounds per game, 3.9 assists per game, 2.3 steals per game, 1.4 blocks per game, 1.5 turnovers per game, 1.6 fouls per game, 83.4% on free throws on 163 attempts, 41.8% on threes on 194 attempts. And there's Aaliyah Edwards, which we all know that she's going to go to the WNBA draft after this. We all know that. 17.6 points per game, 9.3 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game, 2.5 turnovers per game, 1.6 steals per game, 1 block per game, 2.6 fouls per game, 75% on free throws on 172 attempts, and 0 for 3 on 3. So she's not really a 3-point shooter. Okay, now the next player I'm going to mention is Ashlyn Shade. 11.2 points per game, 3.4 rebounds per game, 1 turnover per game, 0.9 steals per game, 1.4 fouls per game, 91.3% on free throws on 23 attempts, 36% on threes on 175 attempts. And there's KK Arnold. 8.8 points per game, 3.1 rebounds per game, 3.1 assists per game, 1.9 turnovers per game, 2.2 steals per game, 2.4 fouls per game. Made 2/3 of your free throws on 90 attempts, as in 66.6667%, and made a 30 of threes, as in 33 and a third percent on 87 attempts. And there's Nikki Mule. 6.8 points per game, and she's decided not to come back for another year of eligibility, so don't think about her coming back, y'all. 4 rebounds per game, 6.5 assists per game, 2.6 turnovers per game, 1.2 steals per game, 2.3 fouls per game, 57.1% on free throws on 21 attempts, 39.7% on threes on 121 attempts. And obviously I'm going to go over Ice Brady. She actually made a 3 last game on her only attempt, but she's not a 3-point shooter, as we all know when you look at the stats. And she averages 4.4 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game. So close to 0.6 steals per game. I'm going to say 0.5 steals per game, 1.1 turnovers, 1.2 turnovers per game, 2 fouls per game, 59.1% on free throws on 44 attempts, and 26.1% on threes on okay, I think that's 23 attempts, but I'm going to double check that. Yeah, that's what I thought. And the last player I'm going to mention is Kaden Samuels, and thank goodness I went over that name last game, going into that USC game. Because, you know, she is needed. That's the thing. 5 points per game, 2.6 rebounds per game, 0.6 turnovers per game, 1.2 fouls per game, 52.9% on threes, free throws on 17 attempts, 35.4% on threes on 99 attempts. Obviously, you want to limit your foul trouble as much as possible while getting them in foul trouble, especially if you're Iowa. Get UConn in foul trouble, kind of like what USC did against UConn, and UConn has to avoid having a lot of players foul out. Like, no more than 3 players, because if it's 4, they're going to play 5-on-4. I mean, that's the truth. So they have to be smart. Of course, you got to make adjustments on the fly, both offensively and defensively, not just from first quarter, second quarter, third to fourth, but I mean, first half to second half, media break to media break. I mean, timeout to timeout, possession by possession. You got to take care of the ball while forcing turnovers on defense, because the best offense sometimes comes from your defense. You got to out-rebound the other team. You got to out-hustle the other team. Yeah, you got to have good selection. I mean, on offense, and of course, you want to make it as hard as possible on defense. Gain some points in the paint. Transition, aka fast break. Second chance points. And points on turnovers you got to have on offense more than the other team. Of course, you want to limit that as possible on defense. And you don't know about the officiating in this game. You got to play through it. I mean, you got to be the more mentally tougher team. You got to be ball tough. And you got to make it. And you don't want the other team to live at the free throw line. Well, you want to get to the free throw line as much as possible. Though, you need to make them count. And I'm calling out UConn on that. It's the truth. I mean, of course, Iowa needs to do it, but UConn needs to do that. They shot 63% on free throws last game. I'm just telling the truth. And Iowa is a good free throw shooting team. I mean, or at least in the last game. Granted, UConn did only attempt 10 free throws against Duke, and they only made 6, though. But it still didn't hurt them. Of course, you got to contain the shooters, contain the slashers. I mean, make those three-point shooters take long twos. And you don't want to give up any easy looks, especially coming right out of bounds. Don't give up anything easy underneath. And you're going to have a lot of time to prepare for the opposing team's plays here. I mean, that's the thing. You're going to have to not... The thing for UConn in this game, you should play with house money. Nobody's probably going to expect you to win. I mean, you don't have the depth. Iowa's better team. You have no pressure on you. Be the hunter, not the hunted. And Iowa, you got to be prepared for UConn's runs at times. I mean, that's the truth in all this. I mean, that's the thing. And I would try, of course, you want to slow down the best players for both of these teams as much as possible. I mean, in terms of shooting and make them ineffective. I mean, that's kind of what UConn did to Juju Watkins, so maybe they need to do the same thing to Caitlin Clark. And Iowa needs to kind of do the same thing to Paige Beckers in a way, and Aaliyah Edwards. Of course, getting them in foul trouble would be huge in this game, and you don't want to have like illegal screens and all that. And you got to keep your composure. You don't want a technical foul in a game like this, or flagrant 1 or flagrant 2. I'm just telling the truth about this, because that's an extra free throw or 2. Yeah, extra free throws right there, and you could get the ball back. I'm just telling the truth about that. I mean, and if anything goes for the coaches, you don't want to get taxed. I'm just telling the truth. And I get the officiating might be a little inconsistent, but you got to play through it. And you got to be more the mentally tougher team in all this. So yeah, anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later. On the road to 600 subscribers. Of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 more. Some of your money out this course. Liking the video, comment video really helps YouTube algorithm so more people can see it. Sharing the video does help as well, so more people can watch. And if you're watching and subscribe, hit the subscribe button. It's free, the notification bell as well. And I would play your game too, both offensively and defensively, and of course adjust from there and adjust to the officiating. And you gotta be prepared for like the press, especially in those. They need to foul you in order to get the ball back quickly on offense in that type of situation when they have to do the foul game and all this. So I'm just saying that, just to say that.